Hello and welcome to this video on scarcity, resources and the economic problem. In this video we're going to look at what an economy is and the economic problem, what is the difference between renewable and non-renewable resources, and what scarcity means. The study of economics is largely about resources, and by resources we mean many of these examples, things like oil, water, timber, natural gas, plants, birds, anything that comes from the planet. As a society or as a planet, these are all the things we have available to us with which to make goods and services that we want to use. And in economics, we group these resources into four different categories. First of all, we have land, which is not only land that we build on, but also natural resources like gold, water, gas, woodland, anything that comes from the earth. So let's make sure we have a good record of this one. Next is labour, and that resource we have available to us is things like the workforce, doctors, people who work in businesses. The third one is called capital. These are resources that we can use to make other things like tools, machines, factories. They're all used to produce other items. Sometimes even money can be described as being capital. So let's make sure we've jotted that one down. And then lastly, our last resource available to us is called entrepreneurship. And this is people who take risk and organise the other three types of factors of production to produce goods and services. So in economics, we're really talking about how the factors of production are turned into things that people want to buy. And that really is what an economy is. An economy is a system through which goods and services are changed from natural resources by firms into products, things that we want to consume. And we call those people doing the consumption households, basically where you and I live. So this cycle, households provide workers who combine with land and capital entrepreneurship through businesses, produce things that people want to buy. We call that the economic system, and that is what an economy is. So an economy is a social system through which decisions about what, how and for whom to produce are made. This is an important definition. Let's make sure we've got this one down in our notes. The factors of production, land, labour, capital and entrepreneurship are combined together to create goods and services. That is the economic system. So why does this give rise to a problem? Well, a well-known phrase in economics is resources are scarce, but wants are infinite. Let's think about this. Resources are scarce. There is only a limited amount of oil, only a limited amount of metal with which to make things like cars and so on. But wants, what people want, wants are infinite. If I ask you, do you want a jet plane? You'll say yes, please. If I ask you, do you want a Ferrari? You'll say yes, please. Why can't we all have them? It's because resources are scarce. There's only so much to go around. So this gives rise to questions. Well, if we have limited resources, what goods and services should an economy produce? How should those goods and services be produced? Who should get the goods and services that are produced? And this problem arises because of the concept of scarcity. So many of the world's resources are finite. That means they could be used up. And as a result, they're scarce. There's not an infinite amount of them to go around. And these scarce resources we call economic goods because an economic decision has to be made about who gets them and what we do with them. Resources that are not finite are infinite, such as air and sunlight. We often call these free goods because they are not. They don't require an economic decision to be made about who gets them. We can all get our access to air. Just open the window and breathe in. Let's look at a few examples. Now, of these four items here, which would you say are the most scarce? We've got air, oil, fish, and the forests. Well, you might argue that the least sustainable, the least scarce, should I say, is maybe the air. There's plenty of air to go around. Then you might argue actually the next least scarce is fish. There's lots of fish in the sea, and perhaps the most scarce is oil. Once you've used a barrel of oil, it can never be used again. Fish stocks recover, and there's plenty of air. So different things have different levels of scarcity. And we use certain key terms to describe the level of scarcity. The first one is non-renewable, and that means once resources are used, they can't be replaced. Then we've got renewable ones, which can be reused and replaced. We've got sustainable, so these can be used economically, but won't run out if they're managed properly. so managing a forest or allowing fish stocks to recover. And then we've got non-sustainable. So these are resources which are diminishing over time due to economic exploitation, for example, clearing away the Amazon rainforest to make way for motorways. So again, let's make sure in our notes that we've got all of these key terms down. And once we've done that, we'll move on. So what is economics? Economics is the study of resource allocation. We're studying how these resources are allocated in a world where wants are infinite but resources are scarce. This forces us to consider certain problems and to make choices. What should we produce? How should we produce? For whom should we produce? Who should get it? So key questions we should be able to answer at the end of this is: what is an economy? What is the fact of production? And what is the economic problem? Well done, you made it to the end. Game over.